Hey guys, just gonna read a few pages from the latest Webot report, which was about a month ago, and the one before that, which was I think in March 12th. We're getting close to the end of July and first 12 days of August, which is another period where Obama, or that the Obama minions or whatever, are going to have to make some kind of key decisions. And I'll start off with the latest Webot report. The accretion patterns continue to support and grow the Obama-Moian's long night of the soul for the first 12 days of August. These 12 days supporting sets contain aspect attributes that include bad summer and illness and fall and loss of the money and confusion reigns. While there continues to be building sets for the November tipping point, 8th through the 11th, followed by 2 months of release language, there are data sets around the 12 days of torment for the Obama-Monians and other powers that be minions, indicating that the Israeli mistake will ratchet up militarily over late July and through August. The accrual patterns have large growth in supporting sets under military both within the US of A and Israel. The Israel subset is particularly spiky in its growth patterns and seems to suggest that an episode in the ongoing/developing Israeli mistake scenario will substantially contribute to the emotional turmoil and mental torment that will visibly affect the Obama administration. These spikes begin to accrue to the populous US of A entity in the Israel subset on or about July 26. These sets are showing that big news, large pronouncements will be part of the troubles that will very soon thereafter settle on Obama like oil on a trapped bird. The decisions supposedly made by Obama during early August are forecast to participate in and even set up the lever that will create the tipping point conditions later in the year around November. So, obviously, this may not have to do with the hurricane, but then again, if you reread the report prior to this, it almost sounds like the hurricane or a hurricane coming through the Gulf, causing that stuff to spew out and, go inland. Sounds like that fits the bill. But this report is sounding like it may actually be the Israeli mistake. It may, in fact, be both. I mean, you got a hurricane coming, or a tropical storm at this point coming up that's going to be there right at the end, next few days from now. This is right in the time frame of when the Webot was talking about earlier. So it may, in fact, be both. The huge levels of growth for the massive unemployment wave within the populous US of A over summer are pointing toward the early August period as being very key to the subsequent developments within this meme, as well as the tipping point in November. The idea coming across is that currency woes of July will build to a crisis point of insurmountable proportions by August 1st, and that the crushing economic reality will come shining through for all to see. The visibility of the depression state and the nascent hyperinflation does not augur well for either the populous US of A or the political minions who fancy themselves as rulers. Combined with terrible extreme weather conditions manifesting across the continental US of A, the unemployment wave, currency collapse, derivatives dumpings, failures, reneging, and diaspora are all internally cross-linked in the ropes over to the first 12 days of August and the torment of the Obama-Monians. There are further sets showing that the visibility of the depression will cause yet another wave of Congress creators to decide to resign or not pursue re-election. This in its turn is showing as producing problems for the powers that be minion wranglers as they contemplate their future this coming fall. Let's see. That's really about it. I mean, it says, as the common linguistic sets between the markets and the populous US of A entity are examined, it is evident that a situation will develop in which fractures between people or splits among organizations will emerge as a dominant subtext for this summer. The pointers indicate not only an inability to get along or live together, emotional state developing between the British Crown and the American populace, but also between the British Crown and the Eurozone. This last will be triggered by a crisis in currency. indicated to rise to visibility over late July and into August. Further, there are subsets within the revolution metadata layer that indicate that slaves will revolt in many parts of the British Crown territories, including British Isles. The slave revolt is supported by aspect attributes describing several assaults and attacks that will satisfy the British populace, but shock the British elite establishment. As a side note, one of these attacks will be related to or derived from plant matter derivatives. Additional note, likely cocaine or heroin. So, the problem for the Crown authorities is that the murder is indicated to be traced back to the Crown and to do away with, remove any moral stance that taken subsequently by the members of the Crown establishment insofar as the perceptions of the British populace, slaves, are concerned. That's about it for that one. This is the old report, and I got 4 minutes. Okay. This is the one from March 12th. As the planet progresses towards the June 21st solstice, the Populous US of A is indicating that the aware observer will be able to pick up several hints as to the way in which the metadata themes of revolution and diaspora will manifest. These hints, indicated to be appearing around the solstice events and solar activities, should provide guidance for July 11th through July 28th and for the first 12 days of August. The indications that we have within both immediacy data and shorter term data sets are pointing towards the manifestation of dollar death to be pre-echoed around the solstice with events that will be emerging in the former colonies and satellites. This latter apparently references two separate contexts for satellite, the first being actual communication satellites and satellite states. In the case of the communication satellites, they cross-link over to the Space Goats Farts entity, which show that blackout conditions will emerge from this display. The satellite state subset is more complicated with larger bands of extensive crosslinks including into the markets and the powers that be entities, bringing up issues of the degradation of empire by money collapse and also the release from servitude of former colonial provinces. This last linguistic structure is also housing breakup/secession language around the idea of a federal organization. This may be a pre-echo of the pending destruction of the Federal Reserve. The data accretion patterns over July 11th through the 18th inclusive period are all indicating that the currency pre-echo previously encountered in February and March will resurface, as will political tensions. The political tension subsets have two very large spikes where accrual rates of new supporting details rapidly rise to new heights. These data accretion spikes are La Fête Nationale and July 28th through August 6th inclusive. Again, it gets down to talking about the lower part, former French states such as Louisiana are going to be in the spotlight. And I probably would imagine a storm comes through, dumps all that crap, oil, crude, dispersants on their land, and their government, as far as the governor and that kind of thing, are absolutely furious and are probably going to threaten to secede away from the United States or something. I don't know. The first 12 days of August are showing as being particularly stressful and extremely tense for the Obama crew of minions. The detail layers all the way up through the primary support in both the Populous US of A and the powers that be entity are pointing towards chaos and international pressures of a level and type never before seen. These pressured times, and again, they're using pressured specifically, so come back on August 13th and see if that word was properly used. These pressured times are showing as being filled with painful straining to get to a solution that does not result in shit blowing yet another ill wind. The 12 days of torment in August 2010 have clear temporal echo signatures indicating that a long-term echo will result from the decisions made by the minions of the powers that be in America this summer. This temporal echo signatures are of the very long-term type and extend out to May, late May, early June of 2011. Wherever the subject matter for the torment, long night of the soul, that persists for the first 12 days of August, it will have repercussions that will surface in early 2011, and once again be very highly visible by June of 2011. Whatever the subject matter, likely an oil volcano, for the first 12 days of torment of the Obama minions, the cross-links to the markets entity indicate that both an immediate impact of very, very, very large proportions as well as another long-term echo being presented, though this time for about late March 2011. So, as he said, probably the oil problem. But this is March 12th report. The latest report isn't really going there. It seems like it's got something to do with the Israeli mistake mostly. Again, it could be both building up. If it is the oil problem and people evacuate due to this Hurricane Bonnie, or let's say it turns into a hurricane and it's going right up that alley, and people flee by the millions, right? There goes the diaspora. They left and fled by the millions, and there goes a massive amount of the economy being put on hold, which would cause a very, very, very large problem with the economy and the U.S. dollar, etc., and the economy in general. Stock market, everything would be hit by this. So it almost seems like this oil thing is definitely part of the equation, and it might also be the buildup of tension of get ready to hit Iran with Israel. We're going in, or soon we're going to go in, something along those lines.